Welcome to the Vibes Lab, your front row seat to the science behind VIA, the Vibes AI agentic platform making everyday brain health accessible to all. Every episode is designed to reveal insights that will enhance your cognitive health and well-being. Follow us to grab your lab key and experience limitless intelligence.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something huge. This feeling of just being completely overwhelmed by digital life, cognitive overload. It's not just feeling busy anymore, is it? It feels more like our brains are being hijacked.
That's a good way to put it, digital saturation.
Yeah.
And look, we found some data suggesting the average knowledge worker checks email or some feed, what was it, every 6 minutes?
Every 6 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. That kind of frequency, it basically jams your nervous system into a constant state of alert, like an emergency that never ends.
That's not work. That's just,
Yeah.
an anxiety loop.
Yeah.
So what if, and this is what we're diving into, what if there's a scientifically grounded way to give your nervous system an out?
An escape hatch.
That's exactly it. We've looked into sources suggesting that very specific sound frequencies, measurable ones, can offer a direct physiological counterpunch to that digital stress. They might actually physically recalibrate us, engage what Professor Herbert Benson at Harvard called the relaxation response.
The relaxation response.
Yeah.
The biological opposite of fight or flight.
For psych. Okay, so we're not just talking about putting on some, nice background music here. This is about precision, specific frequencies. Our deep dive today is really into the neurophysiology, how this digital life physically messes with our brains, and then which specific sound tools offer a documented path back to focus, maybe even reversing some damage.
Hey, that's the potential, yeah.
Right, let's start with the damage then, because understanding the problem really highlights why we need a solution, that brain drain feeling when you're just tapped out. What's actually going on in there? Help us visualize it, your brain running on fumes.
Well, that visualization isn't far off. When your brain tries to process too much too fast, it hits overload. And specifically, the prefrontal cortex.
That's the thinking part, right? Decision-making, focus.
Exactly, your executive control center.
Right.
It literally shows decreased glucose metabolism. It's running low on fuel.
So the most sophisticated part of the brain is basically being starved.
That's right. And at the same time, the amygdala, your threat detector, the old alarm bell, goes into hyperdrive. It gets stuck on, like constantly scanning for danger. You could be sitting at your desk, totally safe, but your body thinks it's facing a predator. And Dr. Bruce Lipton's work, which is really foundational here, showed this isn't just a feeling. This stress directly impacts how your cells function, even down to DNA expression.
Okay, that connects the dots. That explains why feeling busy all the time is so physically draining. Your body's just dumping stress chemicals constantly.
That's the cascade effect, exactly. You get flooded with cortisol, the main stress hormone. Adrenaline keeps you on edge. And the system designed for rest, digestion, repair, the parasympathetic nervous system, it gets shut down, suppressed.
And the fallout from that.
It's significant. Impaired memory, for one. Reduced cognitive flexibility, that ability to adapt when things change. That goes down. And your capacity for creative thinking, for solving new problems, seriously diminished. It's a really inefficient, costly way for the brain to operate long-term.
So digital life is the chaos hitting us from the outside, triggering this internal mess. What's the sonic solution then? How does sound offer?
Okay, so the key therapeutic mechanism here is called brainwave entrainment.
Brainwave entrainment. All right, let's break that down. What does entrainment actually mean in this context? Is it like a proven thing?
It is, yeah. It's a measurable neurophysiological process.
Yeah.
Think of it like this. Your brain naturally produces rhythmic electrical patterns, brain waves, or neural oscillations. Entrainment happens when an external rhythm, like a specific sound frequency, causes your internal brain waves to actually synchronize with it, to match that external beat.
Like tuning your brain. Using sound as a tuning fork for your own internal rhythms.
That's a great analogy. And we can see this happening. We can measure it using things like EEG, which tracks brain waves, and even fMRI scans that look at brain activity.
Okay, so you can actually tune the brain out of that frantic, overloaded state. Where should we be aiming? What frequency is the sweet spot for getting focus back, but without all that tension?
The sources consistently point towards the alpha wave range. That's typically between 8 and 12 hertz, 8 to 12 cycles per second.
Alpha waves, what's special about that range?
Alpha is often called the flow state frequency. When your brain is humming along in alpha, it's associated with better cognitive performance, improved memory, and crucially, focus. without the usual tension.
Focus without tension. That's the key difference, isn't it?
Exactly. It's not the stressed-out, caffeine-fueled concentration. It's calm, alert, effortless focus. More like a smooth glide than a panic sprint.
Most of us get focused by piling on more stress, more caffeine, which just feeds that cortisol loop we talked about. So how do we actually get our brains into this alpha state? Do you need fancy equipment?
Not necessarily. And this is where it gets really interesting. Dr. John Dooley's research showed you can use surprisingly simple tools, like tuning forks, specific ones. He found that combining a 136.1 hertz tuning fork, often called the OM frequency, with a 128 hertz auto fork, well, they create something called a difference tone.
A difference tone. Okay, hang on. So you play two higher frequencies, and the brain somehow picks up the difference between them.
Precisely. Your ear hears both tones, but your brain processes the mathematical difference. In this case, 136.1 minus 128 is 8.1 hertz. We're in that alpha zone.
So the brain latches onto that 8 hertz signal, even though it's not being played directly.
Oh, yeah.
It's clever.
It's an auditory illusion that the brain readily follows. It entrains to that perceived 8 hertz rhythm.
Wow. Okay.
And get this, that 8 hertz isn't just random. It happens to be very close to the Earth's own natural electromagnetic frequency, the Schumann resonance, which averages around 7.83 hertz.
So you're aligning your brainwaves not just to calm, but potentially to the planet's fundamental rhythm.
That's the idea, yeah. Aligning internal coherence with external natural resonance. It's a core concept in some of this bioharmony research. And it's not just alpha. We also found studies on theta range binaural beats. That's the frequency band just below alpha, about 4 to 7 hertz.
Theta, what does that do?
Theta beats seem particularly good for improving cognitive flexibility, that ability to shift perspective, and they also significantly reduce perceived stress levels. Another tool for the toolkit.
Okay, so we have alpha for calm focus, theta for flexibility and stress reduction. But you mentioned precision earlier. Let's zoom in on one really specific frequency relationship the sources highlighted, the perfect fifth. That's a musical term, right? Combining notes C and G, specifically at certain frequencies, like 256 hertz and 384 hertz.
That's the one, a foundational interval in music across cultures. And the sources suggest its effect goes way beyond just sounding nice. They talk about it promoting systemic coherence.
Systemic coherence. That sounds big. What does that actually mean for the body?
It seems to trigger really deep physical responses, far beyond just the ears. It starts, interestingly, right inside the skull.
How so?
Some research indicates this specific interval can actually stimulate the sphenoid bone, that's a complex bone, deep in the center of your skull, connecting to many others. It stimulates it to vibrate harmonically.
So the bone itself vibrates in response to the sound, and that vibration acts like a signal.
Exactly, a mechanical signal that travels. And guess what it seems to trigger? The pituitary gland, your body's master endocrine gland. The research suggests this vibration can prompt the pituitary to release endogenous opiates.
Wait, endogenous opiates? You mean like the body's own natural painkillers and mood boosters?
That's what the sources point to, yes. The sound acts as an environmental cue, triggering a specific biochemical release, your body making its own feel-good chemistry.
Just from a musical interval, that's pretty remarkable if it holds up.
It is, and there's more. The perfect fifth interval is also linked to catalyzing nitric oxide production.
Nitric oxide, I know that's important for blood flow, for relaxing blood vessels.
Yeah.
How does that fit into calming the system?
Right, it causes vasodilation, opens things up. But nitric oxide is a really crucial signaling molecule all over the body. It plays a key role in neurotransmission and, importantly, in balancing the nervous system. So the overall effect of this perfect fifth, according to the sources, seems to be balancing both sides, the sympathetic gas pedal and the parasympathetic brake. It's not just relaxation. It's bringing the whole system back towards equilibrium, harmonizing it.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful, almost too good to be true. Which brings us to the critical question, is there solid clinical proof? Or is this mostly subjective feeling?
That's the crucial question, always. And yes, the sources we looked at provide some compelling clinical validation, specifically referencing work from the Benson Henry Institute for Mind-Body Medicine. That's at Massachusetts General Hospital, part of Harvard.
Okay, Mass General, that carries weight. They're looking at actual physiological changes, not just how people say they feel.
Exactly. Quantifiable data. Moving this out of the alternative category and into measurable clinical science.
All right, let's hear it. What did they measure? What kind of results did they see with these kinds of sound interventions?
The numbers are pretty striking. We saw data showing, for example, a 23% average reduction in cortisol levels after just 20-minute sessions using these kinds of frequency protocols.
23% reduction in the main stress hormone after just 20 minutes.
Yes.
That's substantial. You'd feel that difference.
Absolutely. Think about the impact on your daily stress burden, your anxiety levels. And beyond cortisol, they measured improvements in heart rate variability, HRV.
HRV, remind us what that signifies.
Right, so HRV isn't your heart rate itself, but the tiny, healthy variations in the time between each heartbeat. A higher HRV score means your autonomic nervous system, the system managing stress and rest, is more flexible, resilient, better balanced.
So an improved HRV score means your body is literally becoming more adaptable, less stuck in that rigid stress mode.
Precisely. They also documented enhanced cognitive performance on standardized tests after these sessions, so better thinking. And interestingly, a reduction in inflammatory markers, specifically something called C-reactive protein, or CRP.
CRP, that's a general marker for inflammation in the body, right?
Exactly. When CRP levels go down, it suggests the sound intervention is influencing the body on a deep biochemical level, actually reducing the systemic inflammation, often driven by chronic stress.
So lower stress hormones, better nervous system balance, sharper thinking, less inflammation. That's a compelling package of measurable outcomes.
It really is. And if we take this one step further, connecting the clinical data back to Dr. Lipton's work, we get into epigenetics, the idea that these frequencies are environmental signals influencing how our genes are expressed.
Okay, epigenetics. This feels like the next level. We're going beyond just managing symptoms like stress or brain fog towards actually influencing health at the cellular level.
That's the implication, yes. Moving toward cellular restoration, the sources suggest that regular exposure to therapeutic sound might actually upregulate genes involved in cellular repair mechanisms. And, maybe just as importantly, downregulate inflammatory gene expression, basically turning down the volume on the genetic pathways that fuel chronic inflammation and disease.
So actively promoting repair and dialing down inflammation. What about those other technical terms you mentioned, neurotrophic factors and telomerase? How do they fit into this restoration picture?
Right, so neurotrophic factors. Think of them like fertilizer for your brain cells. They help neurons survive, grow, and function well. Enhancing them means better brain health, better plasticity long term.
Brain fertilizer, got it. And telomerase.
Telomerase is an enzyme related to telomeres, those protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes. Telomeres naturally shorten as cells age. More telomerase activity is linked to maintaining telomere length, which is seen as a marker for slowing down cellular aging.
Wow. So the potential here is not just feeling better day to day, but maybe even influencing the aging process at a cellular level by counteracting the damage from chronic digital stress.
That's the exciting long-term potential being explored, moving beyond symptom management to actual cellular rejuvenation.
That is definitely a powerful reason to consider making this a regular practice. So for anyone listening who's thinking, okay, I'm convinced, how do I start? What are the key guidelines, the practical takeaways for actually doing this effectively?
The sources offer some clear, evidence-based recommendations. 4 main points seem crucial. First, consistency over intensity.
Meaning?
Meaning, doing it regularly is more important than doing it for a long time occasionally. Daily 15-minute sessions are likely far more beneficial than, say, 1 long hour once a week. The nervous system responds best to routine.
Okay, 15 minutes daily, that feels achievable. What's number 2?
Environmental optimization. Basically, try to minimize electromagnetic interference, EMFs.
Like Wi-Fi, phones, that kind of thing?
Exactly. The research suggests that the entrainment effect, the coherence, is stronger in environments with lower EMF levels. The subtle frequencies you're introducing can get muddied by all the other electronic noise.
Makes sense. Don't want competing signals. Okay, third guideline.
Mindful transition. This is about the buffer zone. Allow yourself 2 or 3 minutes of just quiet silence before you start the sound session, and again for 2 or 3 minutes after you finish.
Why the silence?
It helps the nervous system prepare to receive the signal, and then crucially, helps it integrate the effects afterwards. Instead of immediately jumping back into emails or noise, give the shift time to settle.
Right, let the new state stick a bit. Good tip. And the last one.
Hydration enhancement. Simple, but apparently important. Drink enough water. Being well hydrated improves your body's overall electrical conductivity.
Ah, because our bodies are mostly water, and water conducts frequency.
Precisely. Better hydration seems to improve how effectively your cells can respond to and resonate with the sonic frequencies.
Okay, so be consistent, minimize EMFs, use silent transitions, and stay hydrated. That's a really practical blueprint. And looking ahead, this field seems to be evolving rapidly. You hear terms like precision frequency medicine. What does that future look like?
It's really heading towards personalization. Yeah. Imagine systems that analyze your real-time EEG brainwave patterns. Then maybe AI generates a custom sound protocol just for you, adapting moment to moment based on your biometrics, your heart rate variability, maybe even muscle tension readings.
Wow, truly personalized sound therapy, tailored to your unique physiology in real time.
That's the direction research is heading, highly individualized adaptive sonic interventions. So to wrap up our deep dive here, the main message from these sources is really empowering. We don't have to just accept cognitive decline and chronic burnout as the cost of living in a digital world. We have tools, scientifically validated tools, whether it's simple tuning forks, triggering nitric oxide, or specific binaural beats promoting brainwave entrainment tools to actively reclaim and maintain our cognitive sovereignty.
Yeah, the science really seems to be confirming that sound isn't just pleasant, it can be genuinely therapeutic. It's moving from maybe an alternative idea to becoming potentially a core part of daily mental hygiene, backed by real physiological data. So the thought to leave you with is this. Given what we've discussed, the impact on cortisol, on inflammation, even potentially on cellular ABOR, what's the real long-term cost of not paying attention to your own neural coherence? And how could integrating some of this ancient wisdom, now being validated by modern science, truly transform your resilience in the face of modern demands?